Hello, my name is Minai McCleary.
Michael Crumble. And so we'll talk about Black Death history. And so the Black Deaf community faces many issues that tend to be thrown under the bus. And so such as denying of the resources that are reliable for them. Disconnecting communication, like for example my experience with the police and everything. Our Black Deaf community have such a huge impact on others and how they influence others in certain ways. Black ASL is our linguist. Culture is hard to understand because we may not agree or understand the way of tradition. So, Black American Sign Language has created to separate us from the original ASL, which is historically we want our own identity.
Um, I feel like the community is unaware of how the black deaf community operate. Like we have a lot of resources, and if we go back from the past, we the resources that were required for them wasn't available for them, so they had to find different ways to communicate. And the in general, let's go off topic for a little bit. Like the deaf, not even just the deaf community, but the black community itself. Like we go through a lot of discrimination, especially in the workforce, culture wise, and like in our work. We go through a lot of discrimination. So a lot of our resources is withholding from us because they feel like we're not qualified for it, or we don't deserve it. The resources that are made for us. And I feel like, how can we adapt to our comfortability to engage with society if they feel that way towards us? Because if we can't communicate with y'all in a way that help us become a better person, how is it gonna work? So now we're gonna go back to the deaf community, that the black. So as us being black, we already struggle a lot. So being the black deaf and deaf, is the combination is not fitting because
I agree.
we
I agree. There aren't enough Black Deaf people in society. The world messed up and it's literally upside down. Folks all over the world are putting in effort into giving people more knowledge so that they will actually understand Black Deaf history.
and so like we as the black people, we want our identity. We want to be known for who we are. We want to be known for what we can do for our community. So like when we feel left out or feel like we're not able to be who we are, then that's where it becomes a problem, and it could be negative effective to us because it could be negative effective to us because it's like it's hard to put into words because without offending the wrong people, because some people don't like to hear the truth. So with our identity, the way we communicate, we use ASL, we use BASL to communicate. So sometimes we are misunderstood, and, and which is why a lot of people are disconnected from us and don't feel comfortable being around us because we're misunderstood. Our language is misunderstood. The reason behind our BASL is for us as a black community to have our own identity, to have our own language. We already asked out is for the worldwide. You know what I'm saying? It's worldwide. But BSL is just directly for the black community to have their own language, and that's why it's not understood enough because you haven't took the time to understand our language. So So it really hit when it really hit home when when you're put in the middle of the situation where you have to use use your resources to get what you need because some it's just a hard situation.
So we have National Black Deaf Advocates, and this been set up since 1982. It's a good strategy to choose when communicating in specific ways that will help anyone in the Black Deaf community with understanding their language, helping others, trying to help get rejected from jobs, and all of that stuff. So it's nice to have it.
And when let's go back to when she said studying the language, it might be direct and may offend some people, but you have to understand that we already separated. We already separated from the real world, like the hearing world. We're separated. So like when they had everything already. So we had this one specific thing. One egg. We had this one egg. Right? We had this one egg that's specifically for us. And it's okay to wanna learn. It's okay to be that wanted to be motivated, encouraged to engage with us to have more understanding. But it's sometimes people use it for the wrong reason. But even although the Black deaf community does have a negative effect, there's also a positive side of the Black deaf community when it comes to communication. Communication is that the sign language is for everybody to learn. Anybody can learn it. Any race, any race, any culture, any tradition, anybody can learn that language.
But there's lack of education on Black Deaf history, though. So, how would you feel?
Like, if they take our language?
Like, lack of education? Like, I think it should be taught.
Yeah, there's a lot of lack of education, but we don't want to just focus on the lack of education because that is important, but we can't always expect a lot from people, especially when we want them to learn something. They have to want it. They have to want to be educated on the Black community. Our language, they have to be wanted to learn about our language. Like, education go by learning something. The reason of the lack of education is because you refuse to learn it. And I feel like education of ASL is free. Anybody can learn it. There's free classes for you to learn it. It's just something that you have to want to learn.
So there's many points persuasion to gain our audience attention. We're able to use a lot of sympathetic and empathetic emotion. So I do add in points, we added our opinion. So we want to make it all combined together. So the main point also help us carry out the thought of what the audience are thinking, which is why we were able to have a lot of similarities. And we showed these sources because they show more about Black deaf culture and history. So the representation of many sources that are used to help back up our thesis.
And to close our video, with my opinion, some may disagree, some may agree with what we said, but the reality of it is the truth of behind the history of our language.